Hey guys, sorry about a little delay there. Was having a little trouble with the camera, but I think I got us fixed. And really pumped to be back here on Talking Dogs Live. We've had a few Talking Dogs that I've recorded, but we have not been live in some time. So I'm excited to get in here and talk some Mississippi State sports with you. We'll answer some questions. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to. But for the most part, we're going to talk Mississippi State sports. That's what we do here, and we got a lot of stuff going on right now. We have the basketball transfer portal just hitting hot and heavy. We have baseball season right in the middle of the SEC schedule, and we also, of course, we have spring football. Who can forget about that? We're going to be talking to Jeff Lebby on Tuesday, and this will be, I think, the third time that we've talked to him this spring. He's really excited about the spring and the season and having a team that he thinks measures up a little more this year to the rest of the SEC, especially on the defensive line. Mississippi State had to go out and get some bigger defensive linemen. They had to get more numbers up front. As we saw last year, that was ultimately the biggest issue for Mississippi State on that team last year. I thought was the defensive line. I think it affected the entire defense. And when they didn't have the defense right, the offense couldn't get right because you're not able to get off the field quickly, and your offense has a lot of pressure on it. You had a true freshman quarterback for most of the season. So it really kind of started up front for Mississippi State, and hopefully this year they can kind of get that right on the defensive line. I think they have some players obviously up front that are going to be able to do some good things for them. And, we'll see how that goes for them. So, again, we're talking to Jeff Lebby on Tuesday. We will have that, obviously, for you on the website after we talk to him. I'll try to get that Q&A to you as soon as possible. And if you aren't on our website at Maroon and White Daily, what are you doing? If you guys are on here, if you're listening to me, if you like what you hear, if you subscribe to this channel, you should be coming and reading our stuff, and you should be coming and interacting with other Mississippi State fans, as I know some of our folks are here. They're going to be asking some questions over on Maroon and White Daily. We have a incredible group of posters over there, and we have a thread that is worth the price of admission following the transfer portal. We do it for baseball, we do it for basketball, we do it for football, and basically we have psychopaths. And I mean that in a very good way. We have psychopaths on our Maroon and White Daily message boards that follow every single thing that happens in the transfer portal in all of these sports. And they follow it more than I do. I don't have time to do it, but they do an incredible job of it. And they know who the targets are, who are some guys that Mississippi State should go after. They'll give you those thoughts as well. That thread is worth the price of admission in itself. And then you have other posters on there that are bringing some great information week in and week out, day in and day out, regardless of the sport. It's just a great collection of State fans right there at Maroon and White Daily. So if you aren't over there, please come check us out. We'd love to have you. Paul Jones and myself, we've put a lot into that website, and we love interacting with these fans. We love bringing them the news. You want to be there, come check us out today at maroonandwhitedaily.com over at On3. It's a great time. So quickly, kind of just a little rundown on some things. Mississippi State baseball obviously got off to a very difficult start in SEC play, 1-9. They had two sweeps against LSU and Texas. They lost a series against Oklahoma. Very frustrating losses because the majority of those losses were games that you look back and there was a couple of plays here and there. If Mississippi State makes those plays, you feel like you can win those games, and they didn't. So they're sitting there at 1-8 coming into last week's series against South Carolina. They lost the first game against South Carolina, and you end up having the worst start in school history. 1-9 is the worst start in school history, which beat 2 years ago when they started off 1-8. So 2 of the last 3 years they've had the worst starts in Mississippi State baseball history. But they did bounce back well. I thought Saturday and Sunday played really good baseball. They hit the ball fairly well, at least in a couple of innings each. They defended it fairly well. especially on Sunday. I don't think they have any errors on Sunday, and then pitched extremely well. I saw Evan Sierra started the game well, gave up 3 home runs, and 2 of those were solo home runs. That's where 4 of their runs came on Saturday. But regardless of that, I thought pitched well. And then after him, Chase Hungate was really good. 4 2/3 innings, scoreless baseball, didn't give up a hit. The only guy that reached, I think, was a walk. And then on Sunday, you come out and Carson Ligon gives you one of the best starts of the year, probably second best start of the year, outside of the Pico Khan start at Oklahoma. Gave up 1 hit. And I mean, I guess you could argue that might have been the best. He gave up 1 hit. It came on the first pitch of the game, and that was the only base runner he allowed the rest of the ball game. He didn't. Well, he walked 1 batter. I take that back. So 2 base runners. Didn't allow another hit. Didn't allow a run. Struck out 8 guys, and then Stone Simmons comes in behind him and retires the first 8 that he sees. Gives up 1 base runner. It comes the last at bat he has, and then they throw the guy out at second. So probably the best pitch ball game of the season for Mississippi State, the combined scoreless outing from Carson Ligon and Stone Simmons, and it hands Mississippi State the series win over South Carolina. And that's the first series win in SEC play this year. It gets State to 3-9 in the SEC, which is still not good. It's still not in any shape or form a team that looks like they're a regional team right now, but they do have a more manageable back half of the schedule, and I think that this team has the ability to get on a run. We'll see if they're able to do it. This weekend's another must-win for them as they go to Alabama to take on the number 12 team in the country and the Alabama Crimson Tide, who's a much more improved team. And this is a huge, huge weekend once again. You had the big weekend against South Carolina. Now you move to this weekend. It's a week-by-week thing for Mississippi State at this point. You got to get to 13 wins in SEC play, I think, to get in the tournament. So that puts you at 10 more wins the rest of the way. And we'll see if they're able to get that, but it's going to be a challenge. You're looking at, 10-8, I think, the rest of the way for the Bulldogs. I think that's not, incredibly tough, but it is, certainly you don't have a lot of opportunities to stub your toe here. And you need to go out there and win most of your series the rest of the way. It wouldn't hurt to get a sweep or 2, and we'll see if they're able to do it. But that's the challenge that they have ahead of them. And this is a huge weekend yet again as they're taking on Alabama. Quick basketball transfer portal news. Mississippi State was able to get their first transfer portal addition, and that came on Sunday night with UAB guard Jabari McGee committing to the Bulldogs. And I think a good pickup for State. Not a guy that I think is one that you want to be relying on as a full-time starter. I think this is a guy that could back up Josh Hubbard or come in as a combo guard type player and give you some really good minutes. He was really good at UAB, especially late in the season. He shoots over 50% of the field from the field. He's a decent rebounder. He's a solid defender, strong kid. I think that this is a good start for Mississippi State. And we're looking at probably 5 or 6 guys, and four to six, I would say, out of the transfer portal that you're going to have to pick up to go along with what you have coming back and also what you're bringing in with your high school recruits. You got some pieces you need to add to really feel good about this team and to feel like this is a legit NCAA tournament team and that you can take that step forward. Obviously, you feel like Keyshawn Murphy's back. I haven't heard anything different there. Sean Jones announced his return to the team, I think, last week. Josh Hubbard, we still expect him back, but it is notable that he declared for the draft, or at least he's going through the process of the draft, has not hired an agent, so he's maintaining his eligibility. He's going to go through that process, probably go through some workouts, things of that nature. But I think it's important for people to understand that he's maintaining his eligibility. He said that he is returning to Mississippi State if he doesn't go to the draft. So that's important to note as well. And all things right now point to him coming back for his junior year. Now, things can change, obviously, and they have before. But we expect him back for his junior year at Mississippi State, a la Tolu Smith and what he did a couple of years ago. So not a whole lot of concerns there. But anytime a guy says that he intends to to go through the draft process. It's not 100%. It's not a done deal that he's coming back, but we're expecting him to come back. And that's obviously a huge piece returning for Mississippi State to have a guy that is pushing towards being a top 3 scorer in Mississippi State history, one of the best 3-point shooters in the school's history. Having him back and having that piece to sell to the transfer portal is huge for Mississippi State. And also Keyshawn Murphy coming back. That's a guy that took a huge step, one of the biggest steps I've seen from a sophomore year to a junior year in what he did this season. And having him bought in and having him taking another step forward next year would be absolutely massive for Mississippi State. That's a really big piece returning. And so is Sean Jones, who I think is really a Chris Jans guy. He defends, he plays extremely hard, and I thought he was really good when he came in the ball game this year for Mississippi State. Now you're looking at adding a few pieces out of the transfer portal to really secure this roster and make you feel good about it. And there's a chance that this team can have a more Chris Jans-esque look to it this year than they did last year. I think that's something that the coach is looking more to this year, is going back to that defensive mindset, having more of that toughness to it that was missing this year. Didn't look as much like a Chris Jans team this year because I didn't think they defended in the same way that they did the previous 2 seasons. So getting back to that is big, but while also trying to add some offensive pieces to it. You don't want to be the team that you were in those first 2 years where you really struggled to shoot the ball and you struggled to score at times, but you were really good defensively. And you don't want to be the team like this year where you could put up 80, 90 points, but you couldn't stop teams at times. And there were even times this year where the offense really struggled. They struggled to shoot the ball. It's finding that happy medium that Chris Jans is looking for to really take the next step, which is, again, winning an NCAA tournament game, something that this team and this program has not done since 2008. And Chris Jans is constantly fighting to get that. They've been to 3 straight tournaments, which has only been done, I think, 3 times now. Now it's taking the next step. It's winning the first game. It's getting into the second week. It's getting into the Sweet 16. This team really wants to do that, and that's what the goal is this offseason, is to get players in place to get them there. So with that said, we kind of previewed stuff, and if you missed any of that, you want to go back and watch. When I finish this video, I'll publish it. You can go back and watch whatever you want to. But we'll get to some questions now. Questions, comments, anything you guys want to talk about, put it in the chat box over there, and we will discuss it as long as you guys got questions coming in. First of all, good to see you too, Kobe. Nathan Pittman, how we feeling on Quincy Ballard? Feeling pretty good about him right now. That's the center from Wichita State. And let me pull up some of his numbers because had a good season for Wichita State last year. Mississippi State has actually they're putting full court press on him, as far as I understand. Chris Jans actually went to Wichita to see him last week, so State is obviously treating him like a priority. This is the Michael Nwoku replacement, and I'm going to be honest with you. To me, it's an upgrade. I'm not playing the game where I'm doing sour grapes. I think this is a better all around player. And Quincy Ballard, who started off his career at Florida State, he's got 1 more year of eligibility remaining, as he's coming up on 6 years. I mean, I think he got the COVID year. And I believe he was injured another season, maybe his first year at Wichita State. He got a medical red shirt, so he has another year remaining. Now his every year he's gotten better and better. And his first year at Wichita, started all 34 games, played 22 minutes. He shot 72% from the field, averaged 7 points and 6 rebounds. This year he starts all 33 games. 10 points, 9 rebounds, almost had a double-double average. He shot not a good free throw shooter, but he's around the rim type player, and he just doesn't miss. He made 75% of his shots, one of the leaders nationally in field goal percentage, and he also blocked 2 shots a game in over 65 games there at Wichita State. So uh, most definitely a rim protector, 6'11", 250, solidly built guy. He's not a stick. This guy's just a solid interior threat, and that he's a true center. He's 6'11". He's got long arms, got a big wingspan. He's a great shot blocker. Probably would be one of State's better shot blockers since Abdul Ado. Probably, maybe even go back further, and you can go back to Jarvis Bernardo. He would be an immediate impact player for State, and this is why the news kind of coming around that Keyshawn Murphy was going to and that gives you two legit rebounders there at the 4 and the 5. Now, neither one of those guys are great shooters, so that means you need to be a really good shooting team 1 through 3. And that's the challenge. Is State's going to have to go out there and get another shooter in the portal, which they were going to do anyway, but probably another shooter or two to help alleviate some of what you're going to be missing with not having the shooter, which would be the same thing as what you had this year. But the low post defenders that you have and the low post rebounders is going to be, two of the better rebounders in the SEC, the tandem that you have there if you get Quincy Ballard to go along with Keyshawn Murphy. Now that you have to finish the job here, but all sources are saying that State is, battling there towards the front with Quincy Ballard. And I think he's a guy that helps you immediately. He gives you a starting center there, a guy that started at Wichita, like I said, for well over 60 games during his time there, and a veteran piece, a great shot blocker, a great rebounder. This would be a huge pickup, I think, for Mississippi State if they're able to get him. Outside of that, it's kind of quiet, but I caution people for thinking State's got their eggs in one basket or they're not doing a whole lot. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that Chris Jans is kind of keeping close to the vest. I just don't think he's letting a lot out until it starts to get really close to time. And if you're locked in over there with us at Maroon and White Daily, whenever something's about to happen. Paul Jones let people know that Jabari McGee State was in really good shape with him. He let people know that State was in really good shape with Quincy Ballard as well. So this could happen at any point, but it's also a fluid situation when it comes to the transfer portal. We just don't know what's going to happen day to day. Quincy Ballard could move on somewhere else. Mississippi State can move on from him. But right now, I believe that Mississippi State is in decent shape with Quincy Ballard, and they're fighting for his signature, trying to get him on campus and make him a Bulldog. And I think that would be an excellent addition for State to go along with Jabari McGee. You're off to a great start if that happens. Looking at, by the way, I don't think I really touched on it, but looking at what State has lost, and I have a transfer portal tracker over on the website if you guys would like to go look at it. State's men and women have lost several players to this point. Kanye Clary, I would say Michael Nwoku was a little bit of a surprise, but these other guys were not. Kanye Clary transferred out, went to Oklahoma State, Riley Kugel to Central Florida, Michael Nwoku to LSU, and then you had reserve players Jeremy Femena, Adrian Myers, and MJ Russell all entering the portal. None of those three that I have seen have found a home just yet. And then for the women, you had your three freshmen transfer out, Shakira Edwards and Asia Carrier and Taj Bloom all transferring out. Not really a huge surprise. Shakira Edwards and Asia Carrier didn't play that much. They were, late minute and blowout games type players. And then Taj Bloom was hurt the entire season with a torn ACL. Now, you lost two starters. This is huge. Debrisha Poe going out. I'd heard some rumblings that she was thinking about transferring, but she met with the staff. They felt like she was going to return. They felt good about it. She decides to enter the transfer portal last week. And then the big one was Friday, Medina Okot, who had a tremendous year in her first year with Mississippi State. She decides to enter the portal. That's a massive loss. I think you could replace Debrisha Poe, at least from production standpoint. She's a spot up shooter. She plays hard, but I think you could replace what she did outside of the fact that I think she was a great leader on the team. Players looked up to her. She was very positive and encouraging. That was going to be a miss. But Medina, you cannot replace what you lose there. And now you look at it, you've lost your Kayla Jordan and then Aya Russell, two starters to graduation, and then Debrisha Poe and Medina Okot. You're right back where you were last year, where it's just it's it's a total rebuild again. I mean, last year you were down, I think, to 4 players. This year you're currently at 5 returning players. And it's not uncommon. I mean, this is happening everywhere, but Sam Purcell really wanted to keep this roster together, and he wanted to keep especially Medina Okot and Debrisha Poe. That would have been huge for State to keep that unit and essentially have 4 returning starters if Denham DeShields returns and Chandler Prater, which we haven't heard anything different at this point. You essentially would be looking for a replacement for Jacayla Jordan at that point, which is a large task to do, to go out there and find a player to match what she was doing, or maybe a couple of players. But losing all of those players now puts you back at square one, and you're having to build a roster again. You're bringing in 3 top 100 players out of high school, Sam Purcell's best class. I like that. But it would have been a lot easier for State to manage with those players, with the returning players that they have. And that's the tough part about this current landscape, is it's very difficult now to retain your roster. Players will not stay past a year. And these players are not developing. I mean, Dina Okot, I think would have been great for her had she been able to stay in a system for 2 years and State been able to develop her as a player coming from overseas. And she still has a chance to do some really big things, but that's a WNBA player. And a lot of these players, like Michael Nwoku, he's now transferring to his 3rd school in 3 years. How can you develop as a player when you're constantly changing systems and you're constantly changing coaches? It just doesn't make any sense. College sports is not supposed to be like that. And I'm not complaining just because it's Mississippi State. I don't like it really anywhere. I don't like the fact that players can transfer to 4 different schools in 4 years. I don't think that does anybody any good. I don't think it does the player any good. I don't think it does the teams any good. It just doesn't make any sense. And we've got to get something to kind of get a hold of this and make it a more manageable situation, because right now it's insane. But I'm done with that rant. Evan Garrett, if State doesn't host a regional or super, is Chris Lamonis gone? I don't know. I don't know what the decision is going to be for Zach Selman. I think certainly if you don't make the regional, it's tough to imagine him coming back 3 years out of 4 at Mississippi State, not making a regional. That would be very difficult to survive. So I think if you don't go to a regional, it's hard to imagine coming back. If you don't host, I think he can make a case. He started the season 1-9, and the rest of the year was really good. It wouldn't make a lot of fans happy because you barely made a regional and you kept him. But at that point, you're talking about 12 wins in the last, what would that be? The last 21 games or whatever in SEC play, plus what you got in your non-conference games. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what Zach Selman is going to do, but I think it would be hard to imagine him being the head coach here next year if they don't make a regional. Cameron Cotton, should we expect Ace Reese back next year? Heard some rumors that he's not necessarily pleased. I don't know what he'd be displeased about. I mean, they're giving him every opportunity. He wanted to play in the lineup every day. State's giving him a position. He's not a great defender. He's striking out a good bit, but his power numbers are pretty good. He's batting .293. He's started every single game, 36 hits, 8 doubles, 11 homers. I don't know what he'd be displeased about. But, kids are displeased so easily now these days, so that's possible. I haven't heard anything other than I hadn't heard anything either way, but I definitely haven't heard he's planning on transfer or anything, but he's not draft eligible. Kobe, who do you think is going to win the national championship? My gut says Florida. I think they're the better team, but Houston's been so tough, and it's hard to count them out. And they just beat Duke, who I think got a very good case of winning a national title. They've come from behind now in 2 straight games and won tough ball games. They they got a good shot. They got a really good shot just because of the toughness. Nathan Pittman, have you heard where Ocot's going? I haven't. I heard that an agent came in kind of last second, flew in, got her to um, get in the portal, and she got out of here. I mean, that's basically what I've heard at this point. It was a real surprise to the staff. They weren't even around. They were at the Final Four, I think, when it happened. So it was. I mean, as you can imagine, the staff was not very pleased. Trav, yes, did talk about Jabari McGee. Like I said, you could when I finish this, you can go back and watch and listen to some of the things that we've already talked about. I did discuss him a little bit, but asking about his defense, um, he's a good defender. He's solid. He'll help Mississippi State, I think. Nathan Pittman, if you had to pick the wide receivers that start versus Southern Miss, who would it be? I'm gonna say Anthony Evans in the slot. Probably Aiden Williams outside. Um, maybe Jordan Mosley on the outside as well. I think they'll probably start those guys, and then obviously you got Sedu Traore at tight end. I like Mississippi State's running back room a lot. Still kind of remains to be seen on the um, wide receivers. You know, you have so many new faces, and I think Jordan Mosley can have a good year, but Aiden Williams hasn't really played a ton in college. He's a talented guy, and he played behind some really good players at Ole Miss, but we haven't seen a lot of him. Anthony Evans, talented guy, played a lot behind a lot of receivers at Georgia. We haven't seen a lot of him. These guys just haven't played a lot. Brennan Thompson's played a good bit at Oklahoma. I think he factors into it. I don't know if he starts, but I think he factors into it. And then you have all those guys, Cam Thompson and Marcus Allen, and some of those. I just don't know how they translate to this. We'll see. Zach Arnett just resigned from UNLV. Yeah, strange situation. I don't know if that's, before he took the job at State, he was going to Syracuse. And, I wonder if it's that situation or if it's something that he did. I don't know. I haven't heard. But maybe he ends up at another spot. Who knows? He's done that before, but that was just kind of really weird that it's happened in the middle of spring. Kobe, could State go to a bowl game? They can. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to upset somebody in SEC play. Um, I think they can beat Arkansas. I know they didn't last year, but I think they can win that game. We'll see if they actually do. And then other than that, I mean, it's that SEC schedule is brutal. You're gonna have to upset someone, and even the Arkansas game would be probably an upset, at least today, because Arkansas is going to be at home, probably going to be favored. And that you got Missouri on the road, you got Texas A&M, you got Tennessee, you have Georgia, you have who else? Texas. It is going to be a brutal schedule for State. And then you add in Arizona State, who just went to the playoff. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, but I think they'll be a good team. Northern Illinois is always a good team in non-conference play. It's going to be really tough. Jay Glass, how good do you think the quarterback room will be? Really good from a talent perspective. You have Blake Shapen, who's been around for a long time. He's been in the system now for 2 years again, the caveat is, can he stay healthy? If he's healthy, I really like this offense under him. I like Luke Kromenhawk. I think that is a really, really solid number 2. I really like Kamario Taylor a whole lot. That's my guy. That's a guy I think is a future of Mississippi State football. We'll see how quickly the future is, but I think before long he will be Mississippi State's starting quarterback, and it will be very difficult to get him off the field. So I like the group a lot. I think you have 3 really solid quarterbacks. I think it's a better room than it was last year. I like Michael Van Buren a whole lot, but I think just the size, the physicality that they have, the talent, I like the group better than I did last year's quarterback room. So need to keep everybody healthy. Blake Shapen needs to be your starter, I think. I know a lot of people are ready for Kamario Taylor, but a healthy Blake Shapen as a 5th-year guy, 6-year, whatever he is, I think 6. A healthy Blake Shapen makes this team better. I don't think you want to throw Kromenhawk and Kamario in the mix right now. I think for this year, you need Blake Shapen to be healthy. You need him to be at his best, and he will elevate everybody else, I think. So, and it'll be good for Kromenhawk and for Kamario to learn under him too. He's been in 2 different systems. He's been at 2 different Power 4 teams. It would be really good for them to have a full season under Shapen and for State to have a full season under him. And that's what we'll be watching. Nathan Pittman, if you had to guess what time the kickoff will be for State and Southern, what would you guess? I'd say probably 6 o'clock. I think it's going to be a night game. 6 o'clock, 7, something like that. Trav, if you were picking a new baseball coach, would you go for a Power 4 coach or a mid-major school with a great program? I would go Power 4 if you could get somebody, just because I always talk about that whenever you're making a coaching hire. I want to go with somebody that has Power 4 experience, either as a head coach or an assistant coach. Now, if you could get a Dan Hefner from Dallas Baptist, if he'd be willing to come, I'd certainly take him. But a Power 4 coach has gone out and recruited, more than likely, high-level talent. They've played in a conference where just about each week has been a battle. So I'd side with those coaches. And even on the assistant side of it, those guys have gone and won battles in recruiting. I talked to a really successful Power 4 coach a couple years ago, and I was asking him about who he would hire at Mississippi State for a certain sport, and I won't say who because a lot of people will probably know, but he said that he would value a Power 4 assistant at Mississippi State over a head coach at a mid-major school because of the battles that they've won. They've gone into living rooms and they've won battles against really high-level coaches. That's what I always that's kind of my mantra. But it also kind of depends on who the coach is. It really depends on who the coach is at Power 4 and matched up against a coach from a group of 5 or a mid-major. Big Mix, how's it going, man? Hope all is well. With Davon Booth coming back, the running back room seems a little crowded now. Any thoughts on if we can see a talented back hit the portal? And if so, who would that be? I don't know. I don't, as of right now, I don't think so. Everything seems to be settled with that group, and they're all fighting for reps. After spring, obviously, there's going to be opportunities for players to leave, but I haven't heard anything just yet. But that's going to be a really talented and fun group to watch this year. Nathan, whatever happened to Antonio Harmon? Hit the transfer portal, I believe. Might have gone to Marshall. Yes, he went to Marshall. So transferred over there. Unfortunately for him, won't get a chance to play with Charles Huff under him, but wishing him the best. Great kid. Did everything asked of him here. Just got kind of crowded. Kobe, what happened to Mekhi Grant? He is no longer on the team, and from what I understand, he was dismissed last week. No further details, at least nothing other than rumors that I've heard. I don't have anything concrete that I'd be willing to report on. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it off there. Appreciate you guys. I'm really going to try to get back into doing this each and every week. It's just been so busy. Um, Next week, I might not be able to. I have a child on the way on Monday. So this time next week, I'll be waiting, or I'll be dealing with that child. Really excited about it. I don't mean to give the impression I'm going to be dealing with it. I'm excited about it. But we will be at some point. We'll try to get back into doing this regularly, where we talk about Mississippi State sports and get some more people on here. But I appreciate you guys for joining the conversation. Again, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Please subscribe to Maroon and White Daily if you haven't already. We'd love to have you over there as well. Follow me on Twitter, Robbie Falk on 3. Subscribe to Thunder and Lightning, the podcast. We have that 5 days a week, myself and Brian Haydad. And I appreciate everything, guys. Thanks. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we will catch you down the road.